Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we've got some pretty breaking news on how these people get away with what they do, and it's called deep, deep, deep pockets. And when I'm saying deep pockets, I'm talking deep pockets. Now, I've already reported on the fact that when Keith Raniere of the whole NXIVM situation was arrested, Claire Bronfman, who's behind me in the thumbnail here, put aside $5 million for his defense fund. We have also covered the fact, if you have watched my channel for some time, especially at the NXIVM Exposed conference, that there was a large amount of lawsuits and suing people. And they also were involved in hacking scandals. They were in a patent battle with Microsoft at one point. So now we've found out, we never knew how much this had been put away, but $14.3 million was put into a trust fund to defend the Grand Master and fellow members. So now you have to ask yourself, once again, she's already worked out a deal. Let's make this clear. She's pled guilty. She's going to pay $6 million. She can be sentenced from 21 to 72 months. If she gets 27 months, she can appeal. I mean, you could really consider the amount of funds this woman has at her disposal as almost infinite. When you're talking about a billionaire heiress and the kind of operations that were being run here, you have to ask how much money, there's a lot of talk about the loss of money and how much money the Bronfmans dumped in and lost in this. But they seem to be doing just fine. So I'm going to read this. Billionaire Seagram's heiress Claire Bronfman has contributed more than $14 million to the defense of the NXIVM sex cult grandmaster Keith Raniere, as well as herself and several other members of the organization. I would assume Nancy Salzman is in there. Nancy Salzman, really one of her right hand. When you read some of the indictments, for instance, Nancy Salzman, when they were talking about using funds that basically you would have NXIVM cult members donate to the Hillary Clinton 2008 presidential campaign, the primaries back in 2007, and then they planned to pay these members back. Either Salzman or Bronfman planned to, or told them to. This is in the indictment. And basically, they were committing fraud so they could have political influence. They limit how much you can actually give, but they were funneling money into the Clinton campaign for political influence. Hillary Clinton, of course, has major ties to their father, Edgar Bronfman, who, it was also revealed in this case, took some NXIVM courses at one point, and then was hacked by NXIVM, by all accounts, by, again, these indictments. So Bronfman actually mentored Hillary Clinton in a lot of ways, and Hillary Clinton spoke at his memorial service. So getting back to this trust fund, it had been previously reported that Bronfman had established a trust fund to contribute to legal costs, although that amount had never been released. Now government witness Richard Gorchie, formerly of the IRS, testified that Bronfman had coughed up more than $14.3 million into the trust fund to cover legal costs. Self-help guru Raniere was arrested last April in Mexican hideaway with a harem of slaves. He is, let's see, he only donated. So I'm wondering if this fund is just for right now with everybody involved. We were talking about Allison Mack in a previous video, and I want to let people know she was heavily involved in this. She's getting a sweetheart deal. She did some very evil things. One of the witnesses right now that's going as Jay, was molested by her uncle when she was 12. And, Allison Mack told her that basically the cult leader there, Keith, would heal her trauma. Now, we also know that they all gave up blackmail, photographs, stories that didn't happen, twisted tales of abuse by people who did not abuse them. In this case, it does seem like this woman was preyed upon because of her previous abuse. But Allison Mack very much involved, not innocent whatsoever. In fact, when you look at this, she had pledged herself to Raniere or whatever you want to call it. And, you know, she was like beyond his girlfriend, his number one in this DOS secret society, right? Now, she married Nikki Klein to defraud immigration. Nikki Klein was another actress, you know, another person that they brought in because of all this power. And today, I'm not going to show them to you because they were sent, and the guy said he wanted to remain anonymous. But yeah, I guess you're just going to have to take my word for it. He sent me private messages between him and Nikki Klein, who he had known. And Nikki Klein, without naming NXIVM, was really just bragging about this organization and how much it had done. And I specifically remember reading a passage about how they were looking at the news. So, and basically dissecting it. And here's the deal. A lot of these things, in reality, they do tell you some truth. You know, self-help stuff does work. You know, if you set goals, if you put them to paper, if you work towards them, and you have people to push you around, yes, that's going to have a positive impact in your life. If you point out that the media is corrupt and that is used to control you, that's not incorrect. So a lot of truth is used. And that's why particularly they brought in this cult leader expert, you know, for the witness testimony here. And he compared him to L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology. And I've talked about hints of Scientology in this organization, right? Here's the thing. Scientology, I remember as a kid, Dianetics, that book, it was on TV all the time, ordering Dianetics. And there's a lot of core things in there that can be very, very positive in your life. And the same thing with what NXIVM was. It was an executive success group. You know, really a pyramid scheme based on his time at Consumer Byline. But again, they used a lot of these techniques. People like Tony Robbins, neurolinguistics programming. These things are very real. But, and I've shown videos of Keith, you can see when he's trying to use NLP on people. And unfortunately, people that are vulnerable, they're very susceptible to this. And it's understood by these predators. And then you dangle the fact that, oh, the Bronfmans are working with you. And we have all these lovely estates. And look, Carlos Salinas' son, he's involved. And it's the ex-Mexican president's son, and we'll go down there, and there'll be a bunch of families and kids singing and dancing. And it's just such a festive attitude. And we'll bring in power players like Roger Stone to let people know that, you know, we have political friends on both sides of the aisle. We're not just donating to the Clinton campaign. So there's a lot of power surrounding this. Oh, and we'll get you a part, a recurring role in a TV series or a movie. So that's how this organization and many other organizations like it have worked in the past. And now you look at this, right? Mac is going to get, I don't know, I doubt she's going to do 5 years for this. And remember, there's child trafficking involved in this, child pornography involved in this, Keith Raniere being with girls as young as 12. You know, one of the things, Barbara Boucher, is it Barbara Boucher? I believe so. One of his ex-girlfriends. One of the things I believed when talking about this NXIVM symposium, guys, if you haven't seen the NXIVM symposium, hour and 40 minutes long, Catherine Oxenberg, who got her daughter out, Boucher, who dated the guy for 9 years. I think she's denying a lot of things. I'm not sure if she's exactly telling the truth. But one of the things I did believe her on, like I said, was that she watched a 15-year-old girl come across a volleyball game in public and then just start kissing Raniere on the mouth and like making out with him. And like publicly, like this stuff was going on in people's faces. All right. So if you haven't seen that, you need to see that. And, you know, a lot of these revelations I've already gone over. I've already talked about the Scientology aspect. I've talked about how they preyed on women. I've talked about how Mac is a lot more guilty than she looks, just from the court documents alone, and how, you know, the CP charges and whatnot. They need to be brought into the District of New York now if they're going to be brought at all. But there's a $14.3 million fund for these people. Remember, the Salzmans have pleaded guilty. Many people have pleaded guilty on this. And I think they're going to be little slaps on the wrist. And we're not going to get to the real deal. We're not going to get to the Salinas connection. We're not going to get to Sarah Bronfman. We're not going to get to Cafritz's connections, especially because she's no longer with us. She's dead. We're not going to find out the truth about Gina Hutchinson and others. There's plenty to this case that the Times-Union and other journalists have done in the past 10-plus years. And when billionaire Bronfman has already worked out a sweetheart deal for herself, and there's a $14.3 million fund, and she's got lawyers like Garagos, and she hired Evanati on the slide, you have to ask yourself how far this is actually going to go. Guys, please thumbs this video up. Thumbs all my videos up. Remember, I'm putting out a ton. I think this is video number 4 or 5 today. Put out 7 yesterday. Think I did 6 the day before that. We're keeping up with current events. We're reporting on Epstein, Savile, Dershowitz, Trump, Iran, the Boondocks is coming back, biometrics, JFK stuff you're not going to see anywhere else, big pharma, big stories, and even a little MMA for fun. Please subscribe, ring that bell, make sure your notifications are on for everything. Guys, I thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the flip side.